8.5%. In the total small producers, we have the incomes coming out from farm activities reduced by 60.1%. And the total, if you take into account not only the income coming from or derived from farming activity, but other sources of income of small agricultural producers, you will see that the effect of the free trade agreement will be to reduce the income of the small producers in 10.5%. This reduction is over an income that is already very low. We were talking of about one income of less than $30 per day, a month. So the impact on the small producers of the free trade agreement will be very high. We see that there will be some alternatives to correct the situation. But the alternatives would have or would mean or would require the need of reopening the agreement. Because we think that we can work three main alternatives. One will be for obtaining two exceptions to the liberalization program, one for corn and one for rice. Or the second, keep to allow us to have a price safeguard clause for these two products. Or the third one, to allow us to keep our market price systems for those products. I would tell that these proposals are not strange proposals. These proposals, this type of treatment was granted by the United States to other countries in which, or other countries that negotiate agreements with the United States, like JAFTA. JAFTA obtained exceptions for white corn, for instance, and for potatoes, Morocco for wheat and all the wheat wheat-related products. I mean, so we are not talking about anything very strange. Chile obtained price safeguards. Okay, so the problem is that maybe it's too late, but we don't lose our expectations yet. Besides that, it's obvious that Colombia has to do a lot of efforts in its domestic policy. And one of the things we have to do is to reorient the program called Agroingreso Seguro. I don't know if some of you have heard about it. Well, recently in the news, unfortunately, for bad reasons, not for good reasons. But the fact is that this program is being oriented in a large percentage to large producers instead of small producers. And that has to be shifted. So it is a reform the program. And moreover, besides that, of course, we have to work on technical assistance, marketing, helping the farmers in marketing procedures, in technical aspects and things like that will require some time to be implemented. But we have a huge task to do in the future if we don't want these people to be seriously affected as we foresee now. I will finish here at this point, and maybe we open the meeting for questions or comments either in the topic of displacement or in the topic of free trade area of small farmers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Great. Well, maybe we'll take a couple of questions at once. And I'd like to start with one question. Maybe you can speak about the potential impact that what you identified as responsible farmers could have on U.S. government priorities in Colombia, such as, for example, anti-NAFTA. And then,
I had a question about how it seems very pervasive that the free trade agreement is a bad deal for Colombian farmers, and I would argue that it's actually not a good deal for our workers either. Yeah, I went to a foreign affairs hearing yesterday where it sounded like this exact thing took place. But so I'm wondering what outreach there is to engage labor in this country as well, because you know all politics is local, and that's the way we impact representatives. And I'm from Representative John Garamendi office, who's a Democrat in California.
anybody else?
Yeah, I just have a question on how, what could the United States do differently so that, for instance, through trade agreements or proposed trade agreements, we can actually encourage the Colombian government to do something effective about displaced persons and reparations for displaced persons, or is there anything that we can do on the trade front?
Bueno, ahí está. Sí, empieza tú.
Well, I would have to ask some comments before I am. And you can notice there are expected adverse impacts on the small farmers' economy. It is not farmers in general, but particular to small farmers. Okay. And given the social and economic context of the rural areas in Colombia, among other things, the humanitarian tragedy of the displaced people, who are basically from the rural areas, then the FTA will deteriorate the social and economic conditions for these people if they return to their lands. And it is a very delicate question, because one of the rights of these people is to have not just reparation, but also self-sustainability in their own lands. Even that they are in a high proportion small farmers, also the displaced people will be affected, in part, by the FTA. So you have an adverse situation to the final objective, which is prepare and guarantee the self-sustainability of the displacement. So you cannot disentangle the Colombian public policies in favor of the displaced people and the international or foreign policies like the FTA in this case. So I think this is not this challenge is not just related to the international relations of Colombia and how the U.S. can handle Colombia. Of course, basically, this challenge has to be resolved and be compromised by the Colombian society. But of course, we need also better conditions in order to guarantee that we can fulfill our final objective, which is the full preparation of our people. And in that sense, I think the U.S. government can have an important influence in terms, if possible, to make a better deal in these cases like Fernando has explained. If not, because it will imply to reopen again the treaty and so on and so on and so on, then we think there are many alternatives, not exclusive alternatives, but